Thank you so much. And once again, welcome to our session this evening. I really hope that this will be your opportunity to ask all of the questions that you still might have in your consideration of a postgraduate diploma in management with us. So I have a short presentation prepared just to answer all of the generic questions that you might have. And then in addition to this, you are absolutely free to ask any question that you might have. You can do this either in the chat or, I see your mics are disabled, so you won't be able to speak, but you are more than welcome to type your questions in the chat. Our support team will start answering them, but I will also answer them live on screen as well, for the sake of those that will be attending this via recording. So let's get started with the application first, or the presentation first, and then we will continue with the questions. So let me first introduce myself. My name is Leenta Grobler. I am an associate professor within the business school. My focus area is digitalization and digital transformation. And in addition to that, I currently oversee both the MBA and the postgraduate diploma in management programs in terms of academic quality assurance and planning point of view. So tonight, like I mentioned, we will be focusing on the PG DIP because our applications are still open at this point in time and will be closing by the end of November. So let me just give you an overview of the business school as a whole before we start drilling down into the qualification itself. We are an internationally recognized business school that are currently situated in Mahikeng, Potchefstroom, and Vanderbijlpark. And our fingerprint or footprint in Africa logo that you will see in all of the visual elements of my presentation this evening, but also in our online presence and our advertising, shows you the unique way that we would like to offer solutions within the wider African sphere. Our vision at the business school is shaping executive minds in Africa, and we have defined 4 mission elements by which we hope to achieve this mission. But more importantly, I would like to highlight our 5 core values that we in the business school strive towards, and that we align all of our activities, decision-making, and the way that we interact with our community. So the first is excellence in all our core business, which then of course entails teaching and learning, research, and community engagement. Then academic integrity, ethical behavior and good governance, Ubuntu, and the notion of social justice. We are also very proud of our international accreditations, the most well-known of which is the Association of MBAs, AMBA, and the Business Graduates Association, which the one accredited our MBA program and the other our school as a whole, but we use this qualification, the Postgraduate Diploma in Management, as the example program in the accreditation process. So thereby ensuring that this program aligns with international standards. Our business school is also accredited by the African Association of Business Schools, and our qualifications are aligned with the Council on Higher Education's guidelines for higher education. We are then also affiliated with 3 international bodies, the one being the AACSB, an accreditation body in the USA, which we are currently in the process of obtaining an accreditation with. At this point, still just affiliated, but in the near future, this is one of our strategic goals, to pass through all of the stages, 2 of which we have passed by now. We are also proud members of the South African Business Schools Association, and then the Principles of Responsible Management Education, an institute of the United Nations, which then specifically focuses on managerial education within the space of responsible management. And this then also very clearly aligns with the sustainable development goals. When we think about the context of managerial education in South Africa, we notice that firstly, COVID-19 and the impact that it had on all of our industries resulted in the fact that we needed to reskill and upskill our workforce in the rapidly changing world as a result of digital transformation. This year, of course, one of the major developments being artificial intelligence and the accessibility of generative AI. And within that sphere, we need to reskill and upskill our workforce. And therefore, managerial education becomes crucially important. Then it also brought a greater focus on sustainability and ethical challenges within our environment. And that is both within our workplace, but also in society. We also learned how important it is to create and embrace lifelong learning opportunities, and the evolving industry demands and employer expectations require of us an agile mindset in which we all continue to learn and continue to invest in our own development. So we have observed a number of various reasons why people would have studied in the area of managerial science. At some point in time, it was, I'm doing this just for work, while others are doing it just for knowledge versus just for you versus just in time. So balancing all of these and juggling these balls of reasons why people invest in managerial education is all of the aspects that we keep in mind when we develop and align our academic programs. And then, of course, we understand that our target audience have to take into consideration their current workload and the demands of their daily lives with educational effort and cost considerations. So, of course, we would like to offer you a subject in literally everything that you might need in industry. However, that would take much too much time and cost way too much. So we need to really focus on those elements that will give you a competitive edge. Within the business school, we have defined a number of anchor principles in order to align our efforts across the different programs. The first is that we want a shared vision for growth. So within all of our staff members, all of our support, academic and support staff members, in our students, we have the shared vision for growth. We are also focused on continually improving our student experience. So we are actively monitoring the experience of our students and continually finding ways in which we can improve on the experience as is. Then I already mentioned that the COVID-19 pandemic made us all aware of digital transformation. Therefore, we are also embracing digital transformation within our programs. And once I get to the offering or the modes of the delivery of our offerings, you will see that we are really embracing digital transformation within this program, especially as we are planning it for next year. Then we also want to foster a sense of connectedness and making sure that our research and our activities make an impact. So within our qualifications, we also have some elements of work integrated learning and community projects that form part of the way in which you are embarking on this qualification, not only adding to your own skill set, but also adding value to your community. Then we are striving towards innovative teaching and learning, and therefore, over this past year, we have actively worked on embracing a curriculum redesign within the MBA program. And we are currently busy with that same curriculum redesign and specifically focusing on the instructional elements and the student experience in the postgraduate diploma in management. Then when it comes to our research, because in the PGDIP, you will also see some element of research in the module research methodology. We want to do research that really has an impact and that is relevant to our local and continental and global context. And then, of course, when we foster global partnerships, we add that African flair. And through all of these 7 anchor points, we are then aiming to shape executive minds in Africa. I mentioned the connection to the Sustainable Development Goals. And as some of you may be aware, the UN defined 17 Sustainable Development Goals as part of the UN's Agenda 2030. And these are global goals that all countries in the world, or at least all members of the United Nations, have committed themselves to striving towards. We at the business school have identified 8 of these 17 goals to align our efforts with. So as you look at these, number 1, 3, 5, 4, 5, 8, 11, 17, and 18, you will be able to see 16 and 17. Goodness, I can't really read that well this evening. But as you look at those, you will see that there's a perfect alignment between our tasks within the business school and what we hope to achieve in a collaborative effort with all of the United Nations in achieving and striving towards the fulfillment of these goals. Then within the business school, we have 4 prominent qualifications, or streams of qualifications at least. The first is our flagship qualification, which is also seen as the flagship of business training worldwide, is our MBA program, the Master in Business Administration. And in that program, we aim to equip and nurture our professionals who are in that program through as thought leaders for success in management. However, we realized that there are many of our candidates who do not necessarily meet the criteria for admission into an MBA program, either because they are early career professionals still finding their feet and also learning the lessons within the environment that they need to really understand to find the most value from the MBA, or because they may have only a bachelor's qualification and not an honors or NQF level 8 qualification. And in that position, they are then quite limited by their options, and therefore we have created the Postgraduate Diploma in Management. And in this qualification, we leverage the best practices and thought leadership using theory and practice to unlock the potential of business managers, thereby equipping you with all of the basics that you will need to start developing as a leader and a manager within your environment, but then also slowly but surely preparing you to know what to look for within your environment as a leader and a manager to be able to then come back and embark on the MBA program and find the most value from it. After the MBA qualification, of course, you can then apply for a PhD in Economic and Management Sciences, and our PhD in Economic and Management Sciences is then specifically focused on business administration, which is then a purely research qualification with no modules. And then to create opportunities for articulation into the postgraduate diploma in management, should you not hold a bachelor's qualification yet, a bachelor's qualification yet, We have also created our executive education offerings. So those are programs aimed at NQF level 5, 6, and 7, the Fundamental Management Program, Middle Management Program, and Advanced Management Program, to prepare you step by step for the opportunity to then apply for recognition of prior learning, thereby acknowledging that there are informal ways of acquiring the skills and the knowledge that you might need to be able to enter into a formal qualification later on. So while the one does not necessarily guarantee automatic acceptance into the other, that is definitely a very clear pathway that we have created. And if you then manage to do well in those qualifications, and we use your marks and the experience that you built up through those 3 educational executive educational offerings, we can then consider that along with a portfolio of your professional experience, and consider that for a as an RPL application into the postgraduate diploma in management. And then once you have completed the postgraduate diploma in management, again obtaining at least a mark of 65% average and 65% for the research methodology module of the postgraduate diploma in management, you are then eligible to apply for a spot within our MBA program. Within the MBA program, we then again have a selection committee that looks at an admission test result in combination with your marks on the postgraduate diploma, and an interview that we conduct with every single individual. And that combined holistic package is then weighed up and then considered for consideration in the MBA program. So that is why I give you the overview of the 4 streams, so that you understand the prominence of each of these and also how they interconnect. When we look at the student demographics within the business school specifically, I summarized it as follows. So firstly, you'll note that when we look at where our students typically come from, we seem to have a large number of them concentrated within Gauteng. With 38% of our students living in Gauteng currently, 30% of them in Northwest, followed by all of the other provinces with relatively small percentages from 6 down to 2, and 2% or 44 students in total within the business school are currently joining our programs from countries other than South Africa. At this point in time, although we are close to or moving closer to gender parity within the cohorts, it's still predominantly male orientated, even though the coursework and everything that you will need to make yourself a good leader is definitely not defined by your gender. And for interest's sake, I've also indicated our race statistics. We are really a good blend of South Africa with a very diverse student population that really leads to very interesting and stimulating conversations, and a lot of lessons being learned through the honest and open conversations that we have with each other. Let's now focus on the postgraduate diploma in management specifically. And there might be a number of you wondering why you need to enroll for a postgraduate diploma in management. The first, I would reckon, would be the international recognition. So our program, as I mentioned earlier, was used in the accreditation process of our accreditation with the Business Graduates Association. So they went through our entire qualification, all of our quality assurance metrics, and also the entire environment that we create within the business school to be able to reach the conclusion that we were awarded a BGA accreditation. Then secondly, it will definitely enhance your managerial skills. the core management principles covered in the qualification will definitely help you sharpen your problem solving, critical thinking, and critical thinking skills, and develop your capacity to integrate complex information. Because of the high focus on group work, or the high intensity in terms of group work, it also definitely develops your interpersonal skills, which is one thing that no manager can get away from. It's the one challenge that all of us as leaders need to deal with, is how to manage people and how to manage difficult conversations and difficult scenarios. And there's no place better than a group work assignment to do that. Then I also mentioned our focus on ethical and responsible leadership. So within all of our subjects, we have integrated and interwoven these two elements into the curriculum. So while you won't necessarily see a module on responsible leadership or a dedicated module on sustainability, these elements will be part of all of the qualifications and all of the modules that you complete within the business school. Then when we speak about the alignment between theory and practice, we use a combination of core lecturers within our programs and then augment their experience and their expertise with guest speakers and industry leaders, and also a number of professors of practice who then come and share their practical experience as well. So while our academics all have some industry experience as well, we realize that the world of work is evolving so fast that we need people that are currently in practice to come and share their experience with us, so that our students have up-to-date and relevant information. So while mentioning that, we also offer networking opportunities, which is maybe some of the most commonly listed reasons why people pursue managerial qualifications like a PG DIP or an MBA. And that is the networking opportunities that we provide to our students, both internally between one another, but then also with industry leaders. And once I get to the delivery modes, I will briefly highlight how we create those experiences for you. Then this qualification will definitely help you define your own personal development journey, and also help you manage your own career in such a way that you can actively manage it based on your unique strengths and weaknesses, augmented by the modules that you will then complete as part of the qualification. And then I've mentioned that we have this dedication to lifelong learning. So apart from our formal executive education offerings, we also offer a number of short learning programs, which you then as members of our alumni will be frequently reminded of or made aware of as we develop new short learning programs that caters to the needs of industry as it evolves, and can quickly help you over a short period of time to catch up on those crucial skills that you might need in your career going forward. So let's have a look at how the program is structured. You will firstly note that you will be required to complete 10 modules as part of your qualification. The first semester will comprise of 5 core modules. These 5 core modules are modules that all of you will complete, and all of you will complete at the same time. So starting with corporate governance, general management, managerial economics, financial reporting, and operations management. Then in the second semester, you will also see that I, again in purple, indicated that you will have another 3 core modules that again, the whole cohort will have together. The first being human resource management for line managers, principles of marketing and advertising, and research methodology. Then you will note in green at the bottom of the screen, I have indicated 4 elective modules. From those 4 elective modules, you can then elect a further 2. So sorry about the typo. These are 3 core and 2 electives. So from information management, new venture creation, project management, and supply chain management, you can then make your selection based on your unique needs or interests, and then tailor your qualification to focus on what you think you might need. Then, just to add a little bit more information over and above the typical subjects that you will complete, each of these subjects are worth 12 credits. 12 credits means that you will have 120 notional hours to spend on each of these subjects. And at the end of the day, you will complete a qualification that comprises these number of credits. Our duration for this program is recommended to be a 1-year compact program, but we will allow a maximum time of 2 years to complete this qualification. I do, however, want to urge you not to start off by planning for 2 years. Start off by planning for 1. I can definitely tell you that in the way that we are specifically planning the program for next year, it will be manageable to complete this program within a year at both a full-time or a part-time pace. So there's no reason why you would need to start off by taking it slow. So do this especially if you are interested in pursuing an MBA qualification, so that you can start applying by the end of the first semester for admission into the MBA program, and don't delay this by 2 or 3 years, because it will become more difficult for you to get yourself going. And by doing this at full speed in 1 year will then also optimally prepare you for the pace and the intensity of the MBA program, which is then, of course, presented at NQF level 9, which is 1 level higher, with slightly less subjects, but much more complex content and a very quick pace. But since we know that this qualification is something that prepares you for further study in the MBA, we have dedicated or made the conscious decision to make a clear alignment, make sure that there's a clear alignment between the PGDIP program and the MBA as of next year. And then also that will apply right from the way in which we are greeting you in the first week of February with a study school. So let's start by discussing the full-time program first. Our typical students in the full-time program are those students that are currently occupying leadership roles within the university, or those students that maybe have studied a degree in humanities, engineering, or sometimes in the health sciences, but feel that before they go to industry, they would like to have one additional skill set that will equip them to run their own business or to optimally function within the world of work. So we typically find that the full-time student are those that either have a part-time job in the afternoons, or like I mentioned, occupy a leadership position within the university, or in the third case, need to compete or want to compete as a member of a sport team of the university. Our students are required, our full-time students are required to attend class every morning between 9 and 12, and then After that, they have 1 hour of consultation time with that lecturer, should they have any problems or inquiries that they would like to discuss, or any one-on-one engagements that they would like with their lecturer. So that typically then happens between 9 and 1 on weekdays. Then we have our part-time option. And our part-time option, we offer in a blended contact modality. That means that just like in our MBA program, as of next year, we will be offering a 1-week study school at the beginning of each semester, and then be following that up with fully online, but synchronous sessions like the one we are having now. So not a distance mode where you are required to go through the content at your own pace without any dedicated face-to-face or contact-based sessions like we are having currently. But in the part-time option, you have what we believe to be the best of both worlds. So having you hosted within a study school environment where we create the opportunity for you to network, and we also facilitate the formation of the groups in which you will then complete at least one assignment per module in each of the subjects, and also then host you for social events and with prominent industry speakers during that week. So if you are joining us as a working individual, see that week as a part-time contact mode student, as a retreat from your work life, and come and focus all of your time and attention on these intensive teaching sessions. So there we will set the scene for each of your subjects, which you will then continue online after that. For our part-time students, all of their lectures will be scheduled on Saturdays, and that will typically happen on a bi-weekly schedule, and that schedule is already crafted for next year. And we will be sharing that with all of our successful applicants as soon as they are accepted. Then we also offer a distance learning mode. So in our distance learning mode, while you have to complete the same assignments and the same grasp the same theoretical concepts, we are creating an online environment for you where you will be able to work through the content at a self-paced rate. So you determine how fast or how slow you work through the content. When you are ready to complete an assignment, you submit it. Of course, you will have due dates in all 3 programs at the same time, or the same intervals through a semester, and we will have you give you some pacing recommendations to keep up with the content. However, you are then less reliant on that, on those sessions where you need to engage synchronously like we are doing now. However, we don't leave you to do this totally on your own. You have online support available, and I'll introduce you to the team in our next slide. But your interaction sessions would then typically entail either a mentored learning session, which typically is either a tutorial or a question and answer session, or a discussion of an assignment before you need to complete the assignment, or a debrief of an assignment once you have completed that assignment. So your interactions are fewer, and typically they will be scheduled on weekday evenings. And there will also be a very clear schedule of which subjects will be covered when, and when you can expect to interact with a specific lecturer. Then it is important to note that the language of tuition in all our programs in the business school is entirely English. And I mentioned the admission requirements briefly earlier, but the first thing is that we require a bachelor's degree with 360 credits. If you are currently in your final year of such a qualification, you can apply already, We will then process your application and give you a provisional admission into the program, and your final admission will then be based on your final marks within that qualification. Then those of you that currently hold a BTech or an advanced diploma, which is typically ending at NQF level 7, you will also be considered into this program if you achieved a mark of 60% average for at least, or for the last 2 years, for the last 2 years of your qualification, and have at least 2 years of working experience. So if you wonder whether you meet these requirements, please complete the online application form. Application is free of charge, so please apply, and our team will then get back to you and give you feedback. If there's any missing documents, it will delay the process. So please make sure that you do attach all of the needed documents that will help us to base our decision on. So while we're on that point, Stefan, while I'm moving to the next point, would you mind please just adding to the chat the list of required documents that we need to highlight? And once I get to the Q&A, I will then highlight that as well. Then I also want to mention digital readiness. I have told you that we are embracing innovation in our teaching and learning, and also that we have to keep up with digital transformation, both in higher education, but also in the industry that we are preparing you for. Therefore, we assume reasonable digital readiness, along with stable access to high-speed internet and a webcam-enabled computer to optimally participate in our blended learning environment. That means that if you don't have access to this at home, you can go and access this at any one of our campuses within the library, or additional rooms that we can make available for sessions that requires you to attend it live. However, as of next year, we will have a camera on policy as well to help you focus, because I am very sure that all of you have realized how easy it is to drift off and start focusing on all of the distractions that are around you when you join an online meeting. So we realize that it is extremely difficult, but the one way in which you tend to stay more engaged is to switch on your camera. But then secondly, for us to create those interaction opportunities for you online, you will need to see each other, especially if you're in a breakaway room, or if you want to ask a question. It will be optimal if you actually ask that question and articulate it and ask follow-up questions rather than always resorting to the chat. So a chat question can easily be missed. So that is why we want you to attend your class from your own laptop or your own desktop computer. If it must, you can join from a phone or a tablet. It's obviously not optimal, but with the MS Teams environment in which we host all of our classes, if it's presented online, you will be able to access that from any of those devices. Just make sure that you have your microphone enabled and your camera so that you can optimally engage with others. Otherwise, it will be very difficult for you to really find the most value from your experience. Then, so the webcam need not be integrated. It can be a standalone one. It's just to optimize your ability to interact with others. Then I also want to mention that next year, I forgot to mention it while I was speaking about our full-time modes, we are planning on having a full-time cohort in both Potchefstroom and Mahikeng. But the last time that I have checked, we have not yet reached the threshold value of full-time applicants in Mahikeng. So, and we are also considering expanding to the Vanderbijlpark campus. So again, once we meet a dedicated cohort of 20 enrolled students, so not only 20 students that are interested or applying, but 20 that actually actively enroll, then it makes financial sense. But more importantly, it is the recommended minimum group size of the Business Graduates Association and AMBA to create an optimal learning environment. So once we have a cohort of at least 20, we have the go-ahead to continue offering that mode of delivery on a specific campus. However, our part-time modes will definitely continue on both those campuses next year. And as I've said, as soon as we have established that there is enough interest on the Vanderbijlpark campus, we can also do that there. What that would then entail is attending the study school close to that campus then. So we will have one study school, or we have scheduled one study school in Potchefstroom for next year already, and one in Mahikeng for next year already. And then both the groups will then, in the part-time blended mode, join in the same online synchronous class for the rest of the semester, and then again meet at their respective campuses for their study schools in the second semester. And then the distance students, you will have an online orientation morning on a Saturday morning at the end of January, where we will prepare you for what will happen, orientate you in terms of all of the technology. That is what we will do for all of our groups. Make sure that you are able to use our learning management platform, Fundi, making sure that you are connected and able to use all of the functionalities that you will require in the MS Teams environment, making sure that you understand the remote proctoring service that we will be using. So when you do a participate in an online exam, for instance, that you are aware and know how it works to complete that under remote invigilation with software running on your computer. So making sure that you really understand all of those. We will also focus on some of the softer skills, like how to prepare a document or how to prepare a presentation, so that you know exactly what our requirements and standards would be when you engage with us. So that is all of the background in terms of the program that I planned on sharing today, but it is also important for me to share the faces that you will be engaging with next year. So while I haven't included the academics today, because for this first period of time, while you're still applying and inquiring, you will see these faces most of the time. And once you then enroll, I will introduce you to the academic team responsible for all of these amazing courses that you'll be completing with us. Our first person that I would like to introduce is Puleng Mokwere, and she will be our operational coordinator. So that means anything related to the study schools, the overall program, quality control, making sure that all of the moderation processes go according to plan, making sure that our archive is kept updated and complete for each of our subjects, and making sure that we have coherence across the sites. Then Salima Abdullah will be our Mahikeng coordinator. She will take responsibility for both our full-time and part-time students associated with Mahikeng campus. Wendy Smith will be our Potchefstroom coordinator, again responsible for both the full-time and part-time cohorts, and then Stefan van Zyl will be our distance coordinator. So he will be the one dealing with all of the subjects for all of our distance students. So you will have one face that you need to remember, one face and one contact number and one email address that you will need to remember, and they will then be able to answer your questions, administrative questions about all of your modules. If you have academic questions, then you will engage with your module lecturer, but it's always a good idea, I have found, to CC your program coordinator, because they can, if they see there as a delay developing, they can do the nudge, nudge, wink, wink at the back end and ensure that our academics respond to your questions, and that they that you are up to date in terms of everything that you need to know all of the time. So those are the phases that you will encounter for these first or last few weeks of this year, and the first few weeks of the registration and orientation period.